Best of the best of the best! If I could show you the top of the world, all of the things I've seen, every long and winding road, all that I gave up to get what I got, and maybe you'll understand why I'm never gonna stop. The best of the best of the best!
Hey, brother, what's up?
What's going on, my good man? How are you?
I'm doing okay. What we're going over today is the charging documents for Tyler Robinson, and as well at the back end, we're going to be going over the press release as well. So, and I magnified the documents for it so everybody could read them because they were tiny.
Well, that's probably a good thing because, I'm blind as bad. So, first of all, it's good to see everybody that's joining us. Hope you guys are ready. It's been a minute, Robert, since you and I have joined teams and jumped in here and done a live together.
Yeah. The last time we did a live together, we were in the trenches of the Brian Koberger case, and now that case is over with. We're delving into it. Could be another high profile case.
Yeah, I think this is one that's definitely going to get a lot of attention. We'll see how long this one goes for, though, Robert. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see. I know you and I have both been doing some content in regards to this. And yesterday, I think we both put out a little bit of information about this judge. I have a good sense about this judge that he's going to really run a tight, fair ship in this case, and I think that's important.
Yes. And in one of my recent videos, I said, where was this judge in the Brian Koberger case? And
Well, it's not even just Brian Koberger. It's every day.
Yeah.
Robert, a lot of people don't realize outside of the Idaho 4, cases happen every single day in the courtrooms. We've seen it in Delphi. We've seen it in the Idaho 4 case where I think some of these judges are overstepping their boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're stepping on some toes, and it was really kind of a fresh breath there to hear this judge immediately come out and set down the standard that this is going to be ran differently. This is going to be a respectful courtroom atmosphere. And it seems like even the defense and the prosecution are already working together to get the discoverable evidence over in a timely manner. And this should be very interesting. I mean, it's a high-profile case, no doubt about it. Lots of eyes.
Yes. And my thoughts and my prayers go out to Charlie Kirk's family, especially the 3-year-old and the 5-year-old losing a father at such young of age. And I mean, you may not have agreed with what Charlie Kirk had to say, but he didn't deserve what happened that day.
Oh, absolutely not. Nash Blonde, I want to say thank you. It's great to see you as well. Robert and I both appreciate you stopping by and tuning in, as well as everybody else that's here. I think Robert and I both could say we miss the crowd. We miss our community. We're glad to be able to jump back on here. Robert, you've been working hard outside of YouTube.
Yes.
I've been working hard at being lazy outside of YouTube. So it's good that we can come back and mesh together. But Ash Blonde and everybody else, is great to see you. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing is, Robert, we as people are not always going to agree on things that are said or on politics or on different topics that are being presented. But the one thing that we have to understand is we need to respect the difference of opinions. We need to allow people to discuss their thoughts. And when we can do that, we can have better conversation. We can have better communication, and we can right the wrongs in a more diplomatic way than what we're seeing happening. And this is just a tragic event across the board. Hey, Christina, great to see you.
Hi, Christina.
And I think this is going to take a long time to play out for all of us because it is an important situation. And this Tyler Robinson, as I've been digging into this young man, which I know you've also been doing. That's why you have the documents and you have these press releases that we're going to go over today. This young man had a full ride scholarship.
Yeah.
This young man was on the path to be able to go to college and to try to better himself. And I mean, today's not really the argument on whether college is, really a ripoff or the things that Charlie Kirk was presenting. But this young man had a path in life that seemed like it was a good path, a good family atmosphere. I haven't found a lot of illegal activity in this young man's background, which leads me to believe there's a lot more to this story, Robert. And that's why I think it's going to really blow up. And there's going to be a lot more that comes into play in this.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into this document, brother. Okay. This is a state of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Right now, as this is the charging document, so there wasn't a case number. There is one now. The state of Utah, by and through the Utah County Attorney's Office, charges defendant with the commission of the following offenses. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code NX 76-5-202. In that on September 10th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty or pursuant to Idaho Code 76-3-207 a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole, or an indeterminate of not less than 25 years that may be for life. And this is what I was wanting to get your thoughts on. Victim targeting enhancement. In violation of Utah Code, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Kirk's political expression. Notice if the tier of facts finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing of judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor.
So every case, as you probably know, Robert, because you've been through it like I have, we have mitigated and we have aggravating circumstances. So Utah, in the very initial part of these cases, brings this out at the very initial onset. And this is also going to go into not only the sentencing guidelines at the end, but this actually goes into the effect of how they could jury selection. And also, this is the death penalty eligible enhancement right here.
Yeah.
In Utah, you don't just automatically qualify for the death penalty if you've committed a first degree type murder. You have to have an enhancement to go along with that charge. And the targeting of Charlie Kirk, meaning this young man not only planned this, but he specifically chose Charlie Kirk as his target based upon a certain reason, which in this case, they're deeming to be the political expressions. This makes it actually eligible for the death penalty. And that's why they're obviously stating this right up front, because this will lead to why the prosecution has already deemed this a death penalty case. And I did want to just real quick, Michelle Abbott, yes, you are absolutely correct. So the young daughter is less than actually 5 years old. She's only a couple of years old. I believe she's 3. The unnamed son, because they've never even announced the name of their son to the public, they've kept it very private, is a less than a year old. He's literally an infant. So we absolutely agree with you. And if we misspoke, we apologize about
yes,
that.
I apologize, Michelle. If I misspoke, Michelle, I apologize.
Yeah, it's obviously they are young. And I do actually agree, just stepping away from the document for a minute here, Robert. I respect Charlie Kirk for actually keeping the young boy's name out of the spotlight, because as he began to grow as an influencer and as a voice, he wanted to give his family that protection. I think that's very admirable of him. And I myself, I would do that if I were a parent in today's society, even as a YouTube content creator. I would do the very same myself.
Yeah. That's why you see me mention my daughter, but sometimes I'll show her on camera, but not all the time.
I think it's a little bit different in the cases, Robert, if we're mingling within our own community that we built that trust with.
Yeah.
You and I are not the big political, the voices that get out in front of thousands and thousands of people and speak politically, or, intertwine ourselves within a party or anything of that nature. We share our opinions, we share our thoughts, and trust me, we get a lot of flack for that. We get a lot of kickback on that by itself. But I mean, he's in a much more visual and a much more opinionated traveling sense of what he's doing. So it's good. Very, very, very protective. And I agree with that.
Yeah, because his podcast alone had like 250,000 viewers and listeners. So I could see why he wanted to keep his wife and his kids private, because there's 250,000 people watching him on a daily basis.
That's one thing I had a lot of respect for him, even in the difference of opinions I may have had with him on various topics. That man was all about his faith and his family. Mm-hmm. And I never speak about faith because I think most of us across the board may have different faiths or different beliefs. And I'm one that supports each and everybody in their belief, because I know I have a different belief than many. So I tend to respect everybody's beliefs and never put them down. And I'm glad to see this man put his faith and his family at the top of the list. And that's why it's so sad that we're actually going through the very documents that we're going through today, and the discussions that we're having, is because I know this man had a different voice and a different opinion, but he definitely didn't deserve the outcome that he received. And now we're talking about these are, it's like revisiting the Idaho 4 case, revisiting the Delphi case where 2 young girls lost their lives. We had 4 victims up in the Idaho 4 case that lost their lives. And this is happening more and more across the board, across the country. And this one's devastating, because now you have a wife with no husband, and you have 2 children that are now going to be raised without their father, all because he had a difference of opinion or a different voice.
Yeah.
And that's really sad. And that's something that needs to be brought to more people's attention. The violence is not the answer. It's not the answer. The debating and the discussion, Robert, in my opinion, would have been the answer, because you can discuss the very topics that are dividing so many people and try to come to a conclusion that best suits everybody. And in this case, it doesn't best suit everybody.
Yeah, because Charlie Kirk, the name of the thing he was doing the day he was shot was called "Prove Me Wrong," and there was actually a student of the UVU up there debating him when Charlie Kirk was shot and killed.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the worst things about this, is how many people visually watched this happen, that this is going to change a lot about not only their views in life, but their thinking processes, because now they're going to second guess certain things. This was a college university that should have been an open forum to express yourself and allow the growing minds to get out there and not only build upon their speaking abilities in public, but they could build on sharing their opinions in a thoughtful and proper manner. And now, I don't know if anybody else out there right now at this very moment that's going to carry that weight and get to these college kids in the same manner that Charlie Kirk was.
Yeah.
And Jackie Bushville, hey, it's great to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Both Robert and I appreciate it.
Yes, hi, Jackie.
Well. Yeah, I definitely am always appreciative. You're right. When I miss time and I come back, it's always great to see everybody. You guys are hanging on with dear, dear like hope that I come back in a timely manner, and I'm trying. I'm really trying.
There, here's a comment from Michelle. I hope that the 3-year-old doesn't remember anything from that awful day. I remember a lot from when I was 4. I don't know how long, but before that child turns 4.
Yeah, you know, these children, and from what I understand, Robert, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the children even made a statement to Erica, Charlie's wife. You know, when was Daddy coming home, or what? This is going to be a very traumatic time, and I'm not sure they fully grasp it right now at this age, but they're going to grow, and as they grow, they're going to learn more. And what's scary about this, Robert, is what happens when these kids are old enough to be able to have opinions and want to express themselves and voice their feelings and their thoughts and their opinions. Are they going to hold back with the fear of what potentially happened to their father could also happen to them?
Yeah, yeah, very true. And have you heard of a defendant before not being at the pretrial hearing, being held in the jail? This was a question asked by Don't Be Hating. Was Tyler not at his pretrial hearing, or was he on Zoom? I only saw a second of it and thought it was strange with such a public case that I didn't see him there.
Yeah, and Don't Be Hating, it's great to see you as well, my
Yes.
friend. I'm glad that you were able to stop by, and that's a great question. A lot of times, Robert, I'm not sure how they did it where you were from. I come from some of the bigger courtrooms of the Phoenix area and some of the bigger cities, and yes, they would hold defendants at the jail, and they would do the initial hearings or smaller hearings like this one via Zooms or via a connection on the television, as it was much easier to not have to transport them and have to protect them to and from the courtroom. Now, he will be in the courtroom for the next hearing on October 30th, but this was just literally a waiver hearing. He was waiving a couple of the upcoming hearings, and they were also looking to push back the what was it called, Robert? The preliminary hearing. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it was passing me by there for a minute. So the defense was actually pushing back the preliminary hearing, as they have already stated. There's so much digital and so many different parts of the evidence that need to go through that's waiting to be discovered from the prosecution to the defense, that they needed to even push back the preliminary hearing, which the defense definitely wants to have the preliminary hearing.
Yes.
So it's gonna be very interesting. What do you think, Robert? I mean, in your opinion, in this large profile of a case and with these charges that we're going through now, do you think there's a possibility that the prosecution bypasses the prelim and just goes straight and gets the grand jury indictment instead?
I could see the prosecution wanting to bypass the preliminary, but also this judge, Judge Graff, he seems to be a fair judge. Yeah, unlike the last case that you and I were involved in. But I mean that if the prosecution has all this mounting evidence on Tyler, which they claim that they said in the hearing yesterday that they did have a lot of evidence on Tyler, I could actually see them going to the grand jury and doing an indictment to bypass the preliminary hearing.
I mean, I can guarantee you right now, if they wanted to go to a grand jury indictment, there would be no doubt they would get it, just based off the small little bit of evidence that we've been privy to, which, look, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't tell you if this kid was the one that shot him or not. Like, I don't know. I've only seen the little bit of footage that's been let out. And trust me, based upon the other cases that we've been watching, I don't have trust in the mainstream media and what's being delivered on whether we can truly believe they're narrative driven,
Yeah.
or is this actual and factual. This is a political case, so there's no doubt there's going to be a narrative push, Robert. In my
Yeah.
opinion, there's going to be a narrative push across the board. And I wasn't there. I didn't physically see this Tyler Robinson do anything. I can only see a little bit of stuff they've released. But
Yeah.
I don't see that there's any chance that this young man, if it goes grand jury indictment route, he's going to get indicted, and then we're going to see it play out within the courtroom.
Yeah.
But
Now, in this charging document that we're reading, it does have the text messages between him and his roommate as well. You know, the day of the shooting.
and look, I always say a digital footprint left by someone that commits a crime is called stupidity. You've really left the food crumbs straight to you. And if these text messages are real and true, if this is legitimately, and I think, I've read the majority of them so far, Robert. I'm just now starting to really kind of dive into these things, and try to get a better grasp on what's going on here. But it just, to me, it spells trouble when you lay out a footprint like that directly back to yourself. They're going to be able to connect the phones. They're going to be able to connect these things. And I think one thing that's really kind of hurting the fact now is that roommate disappeared as well.
Oh, wow. I did not know that part.
Yeah, the roommate has up and disappeared since the information came out. And, I'm not saying that's against the law or anything of that nature, because he doesn't have any charges against him at this point. And who knows if there will be.
Yeah.
But they're going to try to connect others to this case. I don't think that there's any chance, my opinion, my thoughts, that this young Tyler Robinson planned and committed this crime all by himself. I still think that the diversionary guy that was initially cuffed and detained by police at the scene, I think he's got knowledge at least of what was going on. It just seems like this is better coordinated than just a young college student, 22 years old, with a vendetta against a debater. Here we are again with another situation. They allowed somebody to get on a roof in direct view of Charlie Kirk, just like the Trump situation. This is just planned,
Yes.
man. This is planned. I mean, come on.
Yes, very much so. Because I mean, I've heard stuff about this could have been Israel, doing a hit on him, or a deep state. But
There's so many that could be tied into this. I mean, just his very words that came out of his mouth, discussionary wise, leads him to be wide open to people. And look, I have one thing that I truly agree with when it comes to Charlie Kirk's words and his expression of thoughts. I think we truly have a mental illness issue in our country,
yes.
and it's not getting attacked or resolved whatsoever in a proper manner. And these are the very single tragedies right here that showcase that. Because if this young man, Tyler Robinson, is the one that did this, this is a mental illness issue. This is a mental illness issue across the board that would cause something like this to happen.
Yeah, Sean Marie said roommate's cousin said he's in the witness protection program.
And maybe I don't see why they would go that far out there for that young man or young.
Yeah.
I don't know whether. Okay, nobody get upset with me. I don't know whether to call him a man, a ma'am, a man, a he, an it, a what, or whatever the young man's name is, or I mean, I know he was portraying himself to be something else, and I don't want to disrespect that, but
It-
there's mental illness that's involved in this case. I think that's going to come to the forefront.
yes, and yeah, clear. From what I've heard, is that Charlie Kirk's children were there that day. That's why. Yeah, they have stated in the charging document, and it says right here, violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor. The sentencing judge or board of pardons and parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent offense in the presence of a child.
Now, I've done some research into this, and then I've also reached out to some people that have been in the more of a know on this than I am. Charlie Kirk's wife and children were not in Utah when this happened. They were in Arizona and quickly flew out of Arizona to Utah to actually determine the body. Like they had to determined that it was Charlie Kirk's body. But from what I understand, Charlie Kirk's children were not in Utah when this happened. Now I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm relying on other people that have clued me into that. But there were other children at the scene of the crime, which yes, enhances the crime to even more of a violence, and that's going to add to those circumstances when it comes to the death penalty as well.
Yeah, and count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony in violation of Utah Code, and in that on September 10th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having a reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm, and the fact caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. And this is they did 2 victim targeting enhancements in this case. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. And yeah, they counted him. They did the enhancement twice.
Yeah, and they tend to do this. It's called stacking the charges. Robert, I think most of us that have been through the system understand that they do this. This is the greatest push to be able to get the plea agreements into place and bypass the jury trials and save a lot of money. The more that they stack these unnecessary, and look, I get it. These are enhancements that are very by the book, and they're obviously a part of the legal system. But this isn't going to make the difference or break the difference of whether this young man gets the death penalty or doesn't get the death penalty. I mean, the crime in its own self would be a death penalty eligible case. These enhancements, as you know, just go a very long way in pressurizing a plea agreement. And I think that's potentially what they're trying to accomplish here. If they have him deemed as guilty and he knows he's guilty and he's willing to take account for that, then this would probably go a long way in getting him to plea out to save his life and avoid the death penalty.
Yeah, well, the way on the first initial hearing, the prosecution said they are pursuing the death penalty.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But I mean, you got to look at other cases like the Bryan Kohberger Idaho 4 case. They were adamantly pursuing the death penalty until that plea agreement came across the board.
Yeah.
Then they were willing to remove that. And I see that very much as a chance that's going to potentially happen in this case as well.
I mean, anything's possible with the judicial system the way it is now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, they're going to do everything they can, Robert, to save the money and the finances And it's gonna really come down to the fact: does this young man have the capability, if he did commit this crime, to stand up and state that he did it, why he did it, on his own 2 feet to his beliefs, make it show that he did it for his reasoning that he believes in, and that his own parents, Robert, seemed like they turned him in. So
Yeah.
that goes a long way, that maybe he needs to think about his actions and maybe save his family some of that hassle too.
Yeah.
Ronnie Sutton, my brother, it's great to see you. I'm glad you were able to make it.
Hey, Ronnie.
Ray and Ed, always great to see you as well.
Yes, and the newest members to the channel, Circus Music, Housekeeping, Treat Squirrel, Christina, Divine Timing, Layla Balzac, Florida Baby, Jane Kendall, and Kylie.
Well, you had some really cool people and really cool names in there. They're now members of your channel. That's awesome.
Okay, count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code. In that, on September 10th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson was intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, concealed or removed the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony.
Walt Harris, is there an echo? Is that what you're saying? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's an echo on your end.
Is it on my side?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I mean, I have echo cancellation on, so let's see.
Is that better?
I don't have any echo on my side.
Okay.
So let me see if I can try to fix my mic a little bit. If people are thinking, why don't you talk for a minute? I'm going to mute myself, everybody. Let me know if it's on Robert's side or if it's on mine. I'm going to mute myself, Robert.
Okay. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a small degree, second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code. In on or about September 11th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding the conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first degree. How is... Well, Lot says now it's good.
Okay, I'm working on my side to see if I can actually get a little bit of that echo. Does that sound any better?
Yeah.
Well, does that sound a little bit better on your side as well?
Hey, Elizabeth Wagner.
Miss Wagner, it's always great to see you. Hope you're doing well. So it doesn't sound like it's echoing now, Robert?
No.
All right. The echo is gone, it says. Okay. Evidently, I just had my volume way too high. I was trying to make sure that my voice carried and was heard. So we'll turn that down just a little bit.
Your thoughts, brother, on the him destroying the clothes?
You know, I've always felt like these type of charges are kind of ridiculous. I mean, obviously, we all know the clothes is evidence, but I don't think you really need to trump up charges to cover that. Obviously, we know he was wearing clothes when he committed the crime. If he is the committer of the crime, he probably changed clothes. If he got rid of those clothes or he destroyed those clothes, okay, that's fine. I don't think the charge is that necessary. This falls right into line with what I say. This is called trumping up the charges. This is literally all there just to get a plea bargain. Because at the end of the day, if you're facing these counts, I mean, look at this seriously, Robert, these counts that are before us. Do you think the tampering with the clothes really, really makes a difference?
No.
I mean, come on. He's either going to get life without parole or he's going to get the death penalty in this case if he's found guilty. Most likely, in my case, my opinion, if he's found guilty, he's getting life without parole. So, okay, you add another charge, another conviction of a couple of more years for tampering with the clothes. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, look, count 6, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code in that on or about September 11th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending on or about to be instituted or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or information, to wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if police question the roommate. Hey, Lucky.
There's my good man. Lucky's in the house. Hopefully, you're enjoying your lunch. I know he was out to lunch with his daughter today, Lucky. Hopefully, you got to enjoy that. I'm working, guys, here as Robert's kind of goes through this document. I'm trying to fix the volume. I've got everything from echo control, everything on. I've lowered and up the actual volume. So I don't know. I don't know if it's on my side, Robert, or if you maybe have the volume a little high on your side for me, where you can kind of control the volume of me on your side. See if you can maybe set that a little differently, and maybe it will help them.
Is that better?
I mean, I haven't heard any echo myself. It's all coming when they say.
Yeah, I haven't heard. Okay. Yeah, I got that fixed on my end too. Let's see here.
It's all right. We'll just plug through it. I'll mute myself while you're reading, and then when I come on and speak, then we'll just do the best that we can.
Yeah. Oh, now what did you think by him directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned the roommate?
Say that again, one more time.
What did you think about him directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned the roommate?
Well, it's too bad that he did that via a message to where he could get caught. I mean, you can't tell me that there's not a little bit of mental illness going on when you're directed to not speak to officers, but you're willing to keep the text messages to where they can find them. And you pretty much just tell on yourself to begin with. But,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, that should tell people, and this is just an opinion, but that should tell people there's more to this story than what we know so far. And it's going to be interesting to see what else comes out into this. Because, like I said, my opinion on this is Tyler Robinson did not coordinate this, did not plan this, did not pull this all off on his own. I don't know whether or not his roommate would be involved, but I do feel as though there's a lot more behind the scenes. And thank you, California Grandma. It's great to see you. I know it's been a minute, but it's always great to have you. Both Robert and I appreciate you for stopping in.
Thank you, California
And
Grandma.
I think this is an important case. So does Robert. Robert's one of the ones that drew me closer to this case to begin looking into it. And I think it's an important case to cover. And I think that we have to be careful in this case, just like others. We got to be careful of the narrative push here. We got to be careful with it. And I've seen some really crazy angles already coming out and about. Both sides of the angles. It's not just one side, it's numerous. And we got to be careful and just really pay attention to the facts of the case.
Okay. Count 7. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child. Class A misdemeanor in violation of Utah Code. In on that or about September 10th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, committed a criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14, with knowledge that a child was present and may have seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide.
Again, I just, I feel like it's, let's get to the meat and the potatoes. When we go through our court systems, I think that it's understandable that they want to get every charge out there and in front of everybody.
Yeah.
But, just for, a little bit of a thought process for people to fully understand, I went to court once on what I consider to be some of my simplest charges I've ever had in my life. They were just forgery charges. Stole some business checks, wrote some business checks on a closed account, cashed those checks, got caught. The accounts were closed, so nobody actually lost any money, outside of the check cashing agency who got it all actually back via restitution. But I cashed like 9 checks, but I had over 50 different charges for just cashing 9 checks. And it was like, you guys are trying so hard here. Why don't you guys just really come at me for meat and potatoes of what the case actually is? And I'm not going to plead guilty. I'm just not one that will plead guilty to things that I know I didn't do. And it just seems like it's always a ploy to get people to actually plea out. And it's a fear factor because have you ever had it, Robert, when you went to the court date and they actually read through your charges, and then as they're reading through your charges, they tell you the amount of time you're facing for each charge?
Yeah. On my first case in 2004, I was like an eyelash going to jury trial for that case, and they told me how many years I would be getting it. And about a week later, my attorney came to me with the plea deal for community corrections residential and 5 years probation. And about a year and a half into my probation, I violated and with a new charge, attempted arson. And then they turned around and my public pretender I had at the time tried to get me this same type of probation, and the judge was like, no, he's going to prison. The first one that they said was for 98 months, which was like 9 years. I pushed that back in their face. And so finally they came at me with 76 months, and I went to prison. I got to Norton Correctional Facility on 6/6/6, June 6, 2006. I left for Lansing on 7/7/7. Then I got out of work release on February 2nd, 2010.
Well, you definitely got some odd dates in there.
Yeah.
I know when I went to a couple of my arraignments, they always like to go through each count that you're facing, and then they'll give you the maximum amount of time that you could potentially be sentenced to for each count. And, typically when you have families sitting in the courtroom and you have people watching, they freak out because literally if you have 10 to 15 counts against you, like I did in one of the first cases that Jan ever had to sit in the courtroom during one of my arraignments. I think I had about 22 charges, and I was facing the equivalent of like 800 years if I got the max sentence on each charge. So, of course, Jan and her mom are back there flipping out, crying. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys have to understand, they're going to run a lot of this concurrently. I'm not getting 800 some years. This is all trumped up news to try to put fear into somebody. And for me, because I had already been through the system, I wasn't as fearful of it. And at the end of the day, I did 4.5 years. So they're going to tell you all this jazzy stuff like what this document has, where he's facing all these trumped up charges, especially the ones that are enhanced with the children and things of that nature. And at the end of the day, he wouldn't even get the max sentences on any of these unless he gets sentenced to the death penalty.
Yeah,
That's the only way he's going to get the max sentence on everything here in this document is the death penalty. Otherwise, a plea bargain or whatever they find him out, some of these charges are going to disappear, and he's going to get less actual charges found guilty of than what you see in these documents. I mean, look at that case that just is recent with the young man that killed the mother and I guess the child, and he actually got a sentence life with the possibility of parole for killing the mother and the child. And, he probably in most states would have got the death penalty for that. And instead, he has the potential to actually go home on parole.
Yeah, Scott Metalhead brings up a valid point. In my opinion, probably upping the lesser charges due to the lack of actual evidence is overcompensating.
Yeah, I do agree with you. And I believe, to kind of go in line with your thought there, Scott, I think this is going to be a difficult case to try unless they have absolute 100% evidence, and I mean direct evidence. This isn't going to be like an Idaho 4 situation where you're going to have a bunch of circumstantial that's going to add up. This judge that's overseeing this case, I think, has made it very clear. This is innocent until proven guilty. Proven.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a substantial battle within the courtroom.
Yeah. From the last thing that I've heard is the state has the murder weapon.
And so from what I understand, he left it when he left the scene. The gun was found not far from the scene in a wooded area, wrapped in a towel. And I guess it comes back to the young man's family member. I believe it's a grandfather that left it to a family, to I think the dad, and the dad gave it to him. So this has connection, as I understand, to Tyler's family. And they do have evidence of that. We'll see. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna find out. Is that the actual weapon that could be put directly with the bullet that hit and took the life of
Charlie Kirk?
I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how they match up the ballistics of what weapon. I think there was more weapons probably in the crowd than just one. And it's going to be very interesting to see which weapon this is going to come back to.
Yeah, because I've read a statement from the doctor that worked on Charlie Kirk, and the murder weapon was supposed to be a 30-06. Well, the bullet didn't exit Charlie Kirk's neck. It lodged in his neck. So there's a lot of speculation that maybe the murder weapon was a lesser powered gun, because a lot of people say the 30-06. If you shoot somebody with the 30-06, the bullet goes straight through you. But the bullet didn't go through his neck; it lodged in his neck. And his doctor said, "Well, he must have good bone density for the bullet to lodge in his neck." I'm thinking that it was a lesser powered weapon that killed him.
I could agree to that, because 30-06 ought to travel directly through and through, especially through a neck area. I'm not a huge firearm guru or knowledgeable of it, but I have spoken with a few people in regards to that. A 30-06 with a direct shot to the throat, to the neck area, would be a through and through. And it would be a devastating through and through. Not something that would just stop at skin level without exiting.
Yeah, I heard this one report that stated he was wearing a bulletproof vest that day, and there's a lot of theories that the bullet hit his bulletproof vest and then ricocheted up into his neck.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a lot of the various people that have spoken about that as well. even going over the types of vest he might have been wearing. I just, I would hope that he would have had some sort of protection. I still don't understand, knowledgeably knowing the difference of opinions that Charlie Kirk had with people and the tendency in the way our country has evolved against difference of opinions. I mean, look, someone clearly shot at Trump just years ago, missing him, but it took lives of others in the crowd behind him. Why are we not using the protective glass? I mean, they had it at the memorial, but what made me laugh, if you watch that, you're at that memorial, and I know it's very high security, but people stood outside of that protective glass to wave to the crowd. So what was the usage of the protective glass for, other than just when they were speaking into the microphone? But there's no doubt, Robert, even with the protective vest on, they needed to have more protection for him than what they had.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, why wasn't, if this person had a direct line of sight to him, I think it was like 160 yards away on a roof.
Yeah. That was the perfect place to be. It was on that very roof, directly in front of the stage. And somebody had to have pre-known that was going to be the direct setup, and to pick that spot and then to just easily climb up on that. From what I understand, Robert, they didn't even check tickets or bags getting into the event.
Wow.
I come on. Are you serious? Is that not a setup or what? Like, to me, I'm screaming setup. I don't know. There's just too much oddity in this. Yeah. And then, we see this footage, Robert, and I'm going to make kind of a direct comparison to the Idaho 4. One of the biggest keys to the Idaho 4 for people that are finding Bryan Kohberger guilty based upon the circumstantial evidence is the video footage of his car driving around the King Road neighborhood. So we have a car that's on footage, but nobody can directly point at that car and say, we know for a fact 100% Bryan Kohberger is the driver of that car. They can only say, we believe that car is X, Y, and Z of a year of a Hyundai Elantra. Yes. Well, I see these videos of this kid running on the roof, and then I see this video of him walking, before the crime on the street. He has a limp. Okay, so we see him walking the street with a limp and a gimp, and that doesn't show me him firing. And to be honest with you, the walking on the street doesn't 100% convince me that he was the one on the roof.
Yeah.
You got to show me better footage of that person you're showing me walk down the street is that same person climbing on that roof, same person laying down to fire the shot, same person running, jumping off the roof, and then running behind the houses and all of that. Does it look bad? Sure, it's circumstantial. Of course it looks bad. Of course. But that's not full out proof. And that's where I think that I still hold my stance pretty firmly. I need more than circumstantial. I still need more than circumstantial to really, in my mind, grasp that Bryan Kohberger is guilty. I need more than circumstantial that, the Delphi case was solved appropriately with Richard Allen. And I definitely need more than circumstantial that this young man is the actual lone gunman that took the life of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, just like Ronnie Sutton just stated. Why would he text when he left a note under the keyboard?
And that's a good point as well. I mean, that's something that there's going to be a lot of what I hate to call narrative speculation that's going to try to fill in those gaps for all of us. But I'm telling you right here, right now, you're not going to get me to believe after what we've seen for the last handful of years of the negative narrative push filled with BS bullshit. You're not going to get me again.
Yeah.
You're not going to get me again.
Okay. Probable cause statement. Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigations having probable cause to believe that the defendant committed the above listed offenses, submitted the following evidence in support of the filing of this information. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Counts 1 and 2, police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action 30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Mr. Robinson hid the gun, which is count 3, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, count 4, and told his lover/roommate to delete incriminating text messages.
Yeah, I mean, to think that, I don't know.
Well, your thoughts,
I mean,
brother?
do you feel, in your opinion, the roommate had knowledge prior? Do you think he had maybe even a part of this crime, considering some of the biggest debates that Charlie Kirk was finding himself in at the time that were kind of becoming the negative focus would be some of the transgender and some of the very specifics that would directly kind of point and involve, the roommate. And morning, label Nina. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing
Nina.
well. Hope everything on your side of things is going well. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with how divisive Charlie Kirk was towards the transgender community, I mean, I obviously do not know. I mean, could Tyler have told his roommate what he was going to do? Yes. Could the roommate have maybe tried to talk him out of it? That's another yes. But at the same time, could the roommate also be a co-conspirator? That's another yes.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going to be so interesting, is to kind of see, is this investigation going to just halt in its tracks and be content that they got Tyler Robinson, that they potentially have enough evidence to convict this young man to where they could state, this is our lone gunman, this is the lone perp of this crime? Or are they going to be willing to open their eyes and spread this net of investigation out farther to get to the end result of, hey, we've done our due diligence, we've fully done it, full out investigation, which I think, in my opinion, Robert, this investigation, if done correctly, would be years long. I don't think this is a fast, quick, and easy type of investigation. No. I think you really have to do your due diligence. And at that point, if you do clear everybody and you get to the end result of it, then okay, I'll accept that. But at least do the due diligence.
Yeah. Warning label Nina said, in my opinion, investigation will get overshadowed by government shutdown.
I could agree with that as well. I think this is, unfortunately, this is in the political spectrum, and this has a lot to do not only with politics, but it has a lot to do with the governmental aspect of things, Robert. And as you know, these things can be swept underneath the rug. Yeah. And, there's going to be other things that come to the table. That's actually a great thought, and I appreciate you sharing that. That's actually very, very true.
Yeah. Scott Metalhead said he was answering a question from Christina. Christina, I'm not sure. I think it could have been a cry for attention from his roommate, who didn't even notice any red flags. Him reaching out to his roommate could have been him as a cry for attention.
Potentially. I don't know. This is just here we go again. I mean, that's what's getting so difficult with these types of things to discuss. And I think, as an overall, this is something that's difficult even in the true crime spectrum, is we have to decipher. And I do a lot of work on a daily basis. I do a lot of even reading and researching behind the scenes when I'm doing my different therapies or whatever I'm doing, because I'm trying to learn the better aspects of narratives from different angles, different thought processes, different things. Because, in doing research, I'm learning that you can look at these things from all different angles and you can learn something a little bit different. You can not only discredit certain things, but then you can give credit to other things.
Yeah.
And in a case like this, what's so bothersome to me is the legitimacy. God, I can't even speak clearly, but trying to get real and truthful information is just as difficult as it is in other cases where all you want, give me the bare facts, lay it out here, and then let's construct the actual direction of the case based off of these true facts. But unfortunately,
Yeah.
a lot of things are still being closed.
Yeah.
So,
The bare bones of the case.
yeah.
Just lay out.
I mean, I have enough common sense, and I think a lot of us do, Robert. We've been around the block for long enough that if you give us the bare bones, we can typically put our finger onto a feeling that we have within us of guilt or innocence or whatnot. But I need to know the bare bones. Give me the factual basis. Was it really, truly the gun that the grandfather gave to the family? Are we sure it's that gun?
Yeah.
If we're sure it's that gun, then I can pretty much tell you this kid's probably involved in some manner because it's truly that gun.
Yeah.
But if
just
we
like,
can't get down to the basics of that,
yeah.
then I have a difficult time of even knowing what type of firearm was used.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, just like, with the 30-06, we were just talking, the bullet from the 30-06 would go straight through you.
right.
It wouldn't stop inside the body. It would keep going. So that makes me wonder if a lower powered weapon was used.
Well, and another way to attack that very same question, Robert, and I get your idea of a lower powered weapon potentially not going directly through the body. But if that was proven to be a ricochet off of some sort of body armor, slowing it down to where that bullet now has become a lower powered type bullet speed, then I could see it not going directly through. But then we got to have the discussion, what type of body armor was that? Why did it deflect the way it did? And why still was this scene not better protected?
Yeah.
Why was there not more security in place? They told me when I inquired, there was less than a handful of police officers coordinating a 3,000 to 4,000 person crowd.
Oh, that's insane.
I mean, how do you call that? And I'm not even talking about like Charlie Kirk's security detail. Look, they have some questions they need to answer as well. Trust me, they really do. But how do you have less than a handful of officers on a college campus that you legitimately have thousands of people at an event? They're at risk. They are at risk if something tremendously bad happens.
Yeah.
Why are we only housing a couple of people? We're not checking bags. They didn't even take the tickets for admission. And you allowed somebody to potentially climb on a roof in direct view of the speaker with nothing stopping him from getting on the roof, much less running back off the roof.
Yeah.
Come on now. What do we do?
Nina says here, another puzzle that you can fit all puzzle pieces in if they fit or not. And then she goes, damaged ricochet bullet changes the velocity of a bullet.
Correct. And that's what I agree with you, Nina, is we need to know what type of body armor was utilized by Charlie Kirk. Because the one thing I'll say, the one thing I say about why do we need to know what type of body armor is because I definitely wouldn't recommend it for the next public speaker to wear that.
Yeah.
Like that's not the body armor I'd recommend you wear if you're going to be a public speaker with no protection in front of you. If it's going to ricochet and do that type of damage. But I mean, it would also go a long way. And is that the weapon that they found, is that the actual weapon that was used? We need to put some of the theories to rest so that we can get to the truth. Because if we can't put any theories to rest, the people with the actual common sense, the one with the actual thirst for the truth, can't get to it because we can't rule anything out. And that's how you get to the truth. You have to be able to rule stuff out.
Yeah, totally agree with you, brother. Yeah, and let's see here. Okay, Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, and organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10th, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist, famous for these types of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and a microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach the microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was a UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet, with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital when he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is pending. Now, I do have some updates on the medical examiner report. It will not be publicly released. It will only be released to the family.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate, to be honest with you. At the time frame now, at least. I mean, if later they choose to maybe unlock that. First, Truth Seeker, it's great to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Now, I have a question for you, Robert, just based off of what you just read. And let's just focus on something that I kind of have on the top of my head.
Okay.
So there was you got to think about the timing of the shot. It seems very deliberate. The timing of this shot happens during a very specific question in regards to transgender, which to me buckles my mind a little bit back to the roommate.
Yeah.
Why do I have this feeling? Well, Robert, do you feel as though this shot was fired specifically in regards to a transgender situation or issue? Is that why this very moment was chosen? Or was just the perfect time to do it?
Both very good questions. And I'll answer them. It is kind of ironic that he was shot mid-sentence talking about transgenders and mass shootings. Is there maybe an implication that the roommate was involved? And I'll go back to my recent statement. And was the roommate complicit? Maybe, but at the same time, um, it does draw the question on exactly why he was shot mid sentence talking about transgenders. Kissy X3 says Hunter Kazak is the person who asked the question.
Yeah, put up where it says Hayes, please check. I'm trying to read the
Hayes, please check who asked the question. He is a professional protester who has been following Charlie across the country.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, and I do want to actually look into that. Thank you for reminding me on that, because somebody kind of reached out to me in regards to that this person, this individual, literally has been in front of Charlie numerous times at numerous different debates. So that's a good thing to actually look into. And
yeah,
I appreciate you giving me the name. I'll definitely look into that, and that's something definitely to dive into. I mean, my whole thought process is, I don't know if it ties directly like to the roommate's involvement in this, but this could be a mental reasoning behind Tyler Robinson's actions. This is a very hot topic that has brought a lot of debate. A lot of debate. And look, I have very direct feelings and very direct opinions when it comes to transgender. And one of my biggest things that I always fall back on is, would I want a male in a bathroom or a locker room setting with my wife, my daughter, or a female friend or some of that nature? And look, I'm not at all, I'm not one that's okay with it. Like, I'm not one that believes that transgenders should be in the same sports as non-transgenders. Do I have anything against transgenders? No, I don't. Like, that's not my basis. That's not my drive to say whether it's right or wrong. And I'll be very honest, like, my beliefs in religion, it doesn't affect my beliefs in my thinking whatsoever when it comes back to that. I just feel as though, in the safety of not only sports, but also of our loved ones. Look, I'll say very clearly, I don't want females in the restrooms with males. I wouldn't want a female in the restroom with me. I would not want a female in the locker room with me. And that's because I believe in my privacy as a person, not so much that I'm afraid of what could potentially happen. I'm just a very private person. I believe in privacy. I do have beliefs when it comes to respect of females. Like, I never want to break the respect of a female by impeding into their space or breaking their confidence, like, as a male, like I'm putting them at some sort of risk. So I do have beliefs when it comes to that. And I'm not afraid to speak upon those. I don't mind transgenders playing sports if they want to play together and they're all in agreement, or if you have females that create a league and they're all in agreement that anybody, even a male, can be a part of that. That's okay with me. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't exclude anybody based upon anything, except for if we have a female-based sport that is deemed to be female, I think that the females play that. If we have a male-based sport that's deemed to be male, the males play that. If you have a co-ed sport, then okay, it's a co-ed sport. That's fine. I'm just very careful and very respectful.
Yeah, same here.
Of people's privacy, and I, in today's society, Robert, we have to be protective of our loved ones, of our children, of our wives, of our husbands. We have to be respectful and protective across the board, because mental illness is a real thing.
Yes,
and I'm not pointing at any individual sex or makeup of a person that creates that, but we have to be careful. And I believe Charlie had a very steadfast belief, and he stood by that belief, and he was willing to discuss that, and he talked with people openly about that. And I think at the end of the day, this shot was fired at a very direct moment of his questioning that was asked of him, and the answer that was potentially being given, and the shot was fired. I think that's all direct connected.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way that's not directly connected.
Yeah. Well, just like, Kissy times 3 said, that, that the dude was asking him the question, was a professional protester that has been following Charlie around the country. That, that just screams out, sus to me. Why?
Yeah,
Why would this shot go off when this same guy who's been following Charlie around the country? Why would this shot go off right as this guy is asking him a question?
And what's crazy about too? One shot. One. There was no backup shot to ensure that he got him. It was like full trust that one shot did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
In most cases, I mean, of course, now when we see a lot of these tragedies like this happen, you have the multi-powered, multi-shot firearms, semi-automatic. This may not have been a semi-automatic. You may have had to reload, but still one shot, one direct shot at a very specific time. And it just devastated Charlie and everybody that watched.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is just, to me, this is very well planned. This is very well orchestrated. And, coming from my background, Robert, when I was, in some of my criminalistic days, I was a part of an organized group of individuals that we were on top of things. We had plans. We had capabilities of getting stuff done because we knew in advance exactly what was happening, when it was happening, how it was happening, who was doing it, the getaway routes. We knew everything in advance. And this sure seemed planned in advance to me.
Yeah, because, it was weird that you had this old guy, which I believe was a distraction, after Charlie Kirk went down, yelling, I shot him, when this guy didn't have no weapon on him, and you had the police congregating him while this guy was screaming, I shot him, when he didn't actually shoot him.
That was 100% diversion. And remember, I told you there was less than a handful of officers on the scene. And if you watched that video, they were all on him.
Yeah.
Meaning, and I'm sure many have seen the video in advance, we see the shooter on the roof prior to the shooting happening. Someone even called it out. Look at the guy on the roof. Look at how he's running up late. Look at how he's getting in position late. Nobody called out there's a shooter on the roof. Nobody called out, look at the roof, protect. I mean, this comes down to, there could have been a lot of voices that could have carried very well, and maybe Erica Kirk and the children would still have the husband around, Charlie, if somebody had just said, look at the roof, we have a problem. But it was quiet. And then to think somebody knew that person was on the roof, and you can't tell me that you wouldn't know that shot came from a rooftop. The people that were around that roof would have known it came from right there. And that kid was still able to run off the roof, run away, and disappear for a good time frame before his family literally convinced him to turn himself in.
Yeah, you had this police officer who heard the shot and then quickly started looking around, going towards where the shot came from. And by the time he got there, dude was already down and off the roof.
Yeah. When nobody should have been able to get on that roof to begin with. I mean, it's not that hard to protect that roof. Just put up a barrier that You can't climb up around
Yeah.
that roof. I mean, it's not even that hard to do.
No.
But I mean, at the end of the day, ask yourself this too: Are you a little surprised there wasn't an ambulance or an emergency vehicle on site prior to this all happening? Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just have one waiting? You have a couple thousand people in a crowd. I would normally have an ambulance on site just as an
Yeah. Standby.
precautionary. What about a heart attack? What about a trip and fall? What about anything? I would have an ambulance on site. That's something that I think that we need to consider in future. I mean, they literally had to carry Charlie Kirk to an SUV and to drive him out of there to a hospital. There's no way he's going to survive. None.
No. In events like this, you always have an ambulance on standby.
Well, and most times universities have them there at the university as it is, because think about even like college football games. A football player gets hurt on the football field, they can typically pull an ambulance right onto the field.
Yeah.
And I just don't see why you wouldn't have one at an event like this. Just a precautionary deal. You never even know. I mean,
Yeah.
heart attack, that ambulance goes full gamuts in saving somebody's life.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if it would have saved Charlie Kirk's life. Potentially not. That was a pretty devastating shot that he took. It
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have saved his life. But I think he would have had a better chance with medical supplies at hand
Yeah.
rather than riding however long it takes to get to the hospital in an SUV.
Yeah. Because he basically bled out in the back of that SUV.
That's what I would think. Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. The UBU surveillance investigation at the moment of the shot, a UBU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed over there to look for evidence. Didn't I just say something about this officer?
Yeah, and I mean, you got to think too. Why are you waiting till after the fact to surveil the risk? Why didn't you do that prior to the shooting?
Yeah. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below the UBU office. Officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions of the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of the person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing crossing the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UBU officer recognized as the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual rose and ran across the rooftop to the northeast. The discovery led to an intensive review of UBU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following: at approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered the campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with the black American flag in the center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he keeps his head down, as he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. The unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs towards the northeast end of the campus. Law enforcement officers follow the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of the campus, where they believe the suspect left the campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shooting. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt-action rifle than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired.
What I don't understand, Robert, maybe you can explain it to me. So this young man gets away from the crime scene. He gets off that roof. He's carrying the weapon with him, has it wrapped in a towel. He jumps down off the roof. Why the hell would you just leave the gun in a bush? Why don't you just take it with you? Just continue to take the gun. You're already getting away from the crime scene. Why leave the evidence behind? Or, I mean, did he feel as though he was potentially being tracked already and he could get caught with the gun on him? Or was there a plan for... it just doesn't make sense. Like me, I would take the gun and I would put it back wherever I got it from and just make it seem as though it never left its home. I just don't know why you leave it behind. You just left evidence against you behind.
Yeah. Don't Be Hating says, why put it back together before getting home?
That's a good point too. Don't be hating. I mean, now, so is it true? Somebody clue me in because somebody probably knows. When he was on the roof, did he take the gun back apart to leave the rooftop, or did he leave with it whole, leave it in? Like, I'm confused on whether he took the gun apart when leaving or if it was still whole when he was jumping off of the rooftop.
From what the camera UVU showed, he had a object that was the shape of a rifle. So the rifle was whole when he jumped off the roof.
Okay.
Yes, Kissy ×3 says he left the roof with the gun fully assembled.
So he actually, when he approached the crime scene, he had the gun. This is my understanding, and I don't know if it's provable or if I'm right. He had the gun in his pant leg, which caused him to walk with a slight irregular walk because the gun was in his pant leg. He somehow gets on the roof with it in his pant leg, commits the crime, runs with it still whole. When was there ever a time the gun was not fully put together, or did he put it together? Did he take it apart? What was he actually doing?
Okay, Kissy ×3 says, if you zoom in the roof footage, you can see a very long object pointing in the air. Not pointing, I just mean upwards. LOL. And Don't Be Hating said, then it was disassembled. So before he threw it in the bushes, he disassembled it.
Is that right? Like I thought they found it whole. I mean, you're probably right. I don't know. That's why I'm saying we have to be very careful with the narratives, because many of the people that we listen to, they're supposedly our newsbreakers, have
Yeah.
different versions of events, and that's why I'm open-minded and I ask questions, because if we can puzzle together the actual truth behind this, like I don't think he would have had time to take that gun apart.
No, what I think is, I'm on your same wavelength there. What I think is, he threw the gun completely assembled, wrapped in a towel in the bushes.
I just think it's idiotic that you throw that gun in the bushes and you leave it, because if you take that gun with you, there's only two things that could potentially happen. One, you get caught red-handed with the gun and you're just caught red-handed. So now you got the firearm in your hand. Two, you get completely away with the gun and you got the option of getting rid of a piece of evidence that could be utilized against you in a court of law. Now, the problem I have, if I throw that gun in a bush, I've equivalently given you the first
smoking gun.
I gave you the first actual thing that could potentially get me convicted, which is being caught red-handed with the gun. By me throwing it in the bush, I've given you caught me red-handed with the gun, because I've given you the gun with evidence against me. That gun is pure outright evidence, even without fingerprints, because it can be brought directly back to your family.
Okay. Kissy times 3 did explain it a little bit. It was disassembled in two parts, hidden in his pants.
That's what he was leaving, but he still.
Yeah. Then he assembled the gun. And when he got on the roof, or shortly before he got on the roof, he takes the shot, then runs off with the gun and tosses it in the wooded area.
So that makes sense. That's why they found the screwdriver, is because it was in a half on his way there, and then he fully put it together. He made the shot. Then he had to quickly escape and get off of that roof and get out of town. So then he just thought his best option was to toss the firearm into a bush, giving a smoking gun to the authorities, because look, fingerprints wouldn't be enough. We got to definitely throw the gun that can be tied back to our family in a bush. I mean, that's just, that's not intelligent. Like me as a criminal, I know, okay, I have to get away with this. If I've committed a crime like this, I'm either getting the death penalty or I'm going to do everything I can to get away with it. So I'm taking that gun with me.
Yeah.
Because I know if you find this weapon, I'm convicted. You got me.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you find the weapon on me or if you find this weapon in a bush, it's going to come back to me either way.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this damn thing with me, and I'm doing everything I can to get away, because if I can get away, I can get rid of this gun in a more appropriate manner that you're not just going to find it and be able to utilize it against me. Like, I don't want to leave this gun within a radius of the crime scene. I want to get this gun to another state. Does that make sense? I want to get rid of this gun in a lake, a river.
Yes.
I want to go put this gun in the very spot that Bryan Kohberger or whoever committed the Idaho 4 put the K-bar knife.
Yeah.
Like, I want to put them together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Kissy times 3. Hold on. Says in the wooded area, a gun was found wrapped in a black towel. Don't be hating. Says Kissy times 3. Okay, so what that means? Maybe it was disassembled before he put it together on the roof and never disassembled again, but left with it whole. But in that video, do we see a long gun?
Yeah, I mean, I think too, a question that needs to be literally asked, and I think that it's going to be a difficult question to get out of the text messages and the things of that nature, because this would be something pre-planned and probably not spoken of through text messages and things of that nature. Was somebody else supposed to get that gun from that wooded area and take it with them to get rid of it, allowing him, the shooter, to actually disappear while the weapon went in a different direction? Still, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Kissy
I-
Times 3 says it was stupid to drop the rifle, but apparently he parked a bit far and couldn't risk running with a big rifle to his car. His plan was to retrieve the gun back after he got his car.
And I get that. Like, okay, I get it. But the problem is, Charlie Kirk, his life had just been taken, and they knew it was a shot. They're going to be completely locking down that area.
Yeah.
And I get it. A 22-year-old Tyler Robinson maybe had not thought it fully through, that returning even anywhere near the scene to retrieve that would be next to impossible. I mean, you
Yeah.
can even tell by the statements I think he was making of, there's cops everywhere, I'm not going to be able to get it, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why you just risk it. Like, look, I get risk and reward, like risk reward. When you're a criminal, risk reward plays a huge part of the decision making when it comes to a crime.
Yeah.
When you make the decision on a certain type of crime and you're going to go through with it, and let's just say you're not like a novice criminal, you're not just a beginner. The risk reward portion of it really goes through the outlining and the game planning of this. The risk reward of leaving the gun in a bush wrapped in a towel feet from the actual crime scene, compared to me running to my car, doing what I can to try to hide that along the run. The risk reward factor of me running with that gun is a much better probability of me being able to get away from the scene with the evidence, compared to leaving the evidence and me being able to get back into the scene to retrieve said evidence.
Yes.
Does that make sense, Robert?
Yes, that makes sense. And Scott Metalhead said the place is going to be swarming with police.
Right. That's why I've got to take that evidence with me, because I'm only trying to exit the crime scene, and I want to do it as quick as I possibly can, and I don't want to come back.
Yeah.
This young man's thought process was, I'm going to leave the most important of all evidence within the police barricade of the crime scene. This whole area is going to be on lockdown.
Yeah.
This whole area is now a crime scene. You're going to be swarmed with investigators, and they're going to be looking for exactly what you just left behind. So you want to tell me the smart play here is to leave the direct evidence that gets me the death penalty within the lockdown area of an investigation, and then think I can get back into that area without drawing attention to myself, and leave the area with that said evidence when I could have left the area to begin with that evidence before it was swarming with cops. That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
That doesn't make sense. I don't care how dumb of a criminal you are. That doesn't make sense.
You always take the evidence with you.
Well, you sure as hell don't leave the most important of evidence behind. You don't leave it in the crime scene. Now, it's one thing if he breaks that thing up into pieces and throws the butt of the gun into one backyard, he throws the scope into another backyard, like he's breaking it up, throwing it, because now it's broken down into smaller pieces, and they're going to have to search to find these smaller pieces. He left the entire thing wrapped in a towel feet from where he took the life of Charlie Kirk.
With his DNA on it.
Yeah. I I'm sorry, but yes, I absolutely do agree. Criminals make many mistakes. There has never been a crime committed ever in the history of crimes being committed that didn't involve a mistake. Trust me.
Yes.
Trust me. Never.
Yes.
I've gotten away with a ton of crimes, and I made mistakes even during those.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I know, because it's the most important thing in crime, when you are considering committing a crime, think about this, okay? Robert, I'm going to throw it into your plate. I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to really think about it before I answer this.
Okay.
In our criminal histories in life, pre-planning, because we all pre-plan. Look, I get it. There are spur of the moment crimes, but those are typically they're like spur of the moment taking of lives or things of that nature. Or you stole a candy bar out of a 7-Eleven because you weren't expecting to be hungry at that moment in 7-Eleven and you didn't have $1 in your pocket. For the most part, Robert, when a criminal goes to commit a crime, they've either pre-planned it or they have pre-experience that allows them the knowledge of how to do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When have you ever considered committing a crime and leaving direct evidence to you within that crime scene? When have you just intentionally done that? Not a mistake, but intentionally done it.
Never.
Leaving that gun in a towel just outside of the university within where they were going to lock down this university over this shooting is considered not a mistake. That was intentional leaving of that gun, even if there was the intent to be able to come back and get it. He
Yes.
intentionally left the gun. Intentionally.
Yeah, just like
Okay.
Chris had said, it does seem questionable to do, which brings the conspiracy theories.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. Because in my mind, let's go down. How about we do this, Robert, for a minute? Are you willing to go down conspiracy lane with me? You want to go down just real
Yeah,
quick?
why
We'll just
not?
go down conspiracy lane, right? What the hell? We might as well do it, okay? Let's just say Tyler Robinson isn't the shooter. He's just the decoy.
Okay.
Now he leaves a gun that's found at the crime scene that ties directly back to him, but he's actually not the shooter. Now, does it make sense that he would intentionally leave that gun within the searching area of the working crime scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to lead back to him and not the actual potential shooter, right?
Yeah.
Now we're going to throw this case for a loop, and that could be potentially a thought process. I can see it. I've seen it. It's called a decoy. We're going to make a decoy here. Now you're going to have to prove in court that Tyler Robinson's actually the shooter. And what happens when that gun comes back and the ballistics on that gun don't match the bullet that was found in Charlie Kirk? Now what do you do?
Yeah, very true.
Right? Now you
Yeah.
got to build a case against this kid and use a narrative warfare to find him guilty because
Yeah.
you don't, as an investigative team, want to prove that the FBI and everybody involved in this investigation was completely off act and arrested this 22-year-old college kid just because you felt as though he had to be the shooter.
Yeah.
That's why conspiracies can fly. That's why they do fly. But also the reason why conspiracies fly is because the mainstream media's narrative pushes are all BS. And we know it. We know it.
Yep.
So we try to find factual reasoning behind what's going on ourselves. We try to make sense of things that we're not getting enough information to make sense of.
Very true. There's a comment from a David Nett. He was not wearing armor. Catch up. He's
Okay, maybe he wasn't. Never said he was.
yeah, no. Okay. Now, each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows: the fired cartridge, it says, "No Tice's bulge. OWO. What's this?" The second unfired cartridge said, "Hey fascist, catch," with arrow symbols. The third cartridge said, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." Fourth cartridge, "If you read this, you're gay. LMAO, laughing my ass off." The rifle ammunition rounds and towel were sent to forensic processing. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger. Other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, the two of the three unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UBU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation on the evening of September 11th, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated the following to police: on September 11th, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw a photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspected shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed.
So let's pause right here real quick. So first, if you'll scroll back up just real quick, just so I kind of have some cliff notes what I wanted to say. Now, first of all, I mean, the writing on the bullets just takes me back to the Luigi Mangione case out in New York, where the healthcare guy was shot. And there was writing on those bullets, so that's becoming an oddity to me. I'm not sure why people feel as though why they need to write things on the bullets, but the devastating part is going to be the DNA being matched to the gun, and then obviously the towel, the very things that we said that he left behind by throwing it in the towel, in the bushes, in the wooded area on the way out. That just wasn't intelligent, because as you can see in this arrest affidavit, they clearly state that that's one of their key pieces of evidence, 100%. Now, the second portion of this that is extremely, it's bad for Tyler Robinson, but it's also not horrifically bad for Tyler Robinson, because I think within this statement of the Washington County investigation, yes, his parents were concerned because of the photographs that were released during the investigation that they felt as though that was their son. They convinced their son to go ahead and turn himself into the police department. Great thinking, good parenting. Let's get this, if you feel as though he's innocent, then it's best to turn yourself in. Let's work it out. Let's get it deemed that you were innocent. If you're guilty, let's get you in safe and sound. Let's get you into custody before it wreaks havoc on the family and everybody else.
Yeah.
Fully understandable. But the whole key here, and here's where I have an issue. This documentation that's written right here before us, this is narrative pushing through documentation of a police stating, instead of hearing it directly from the mother and the father of what they felt in regards to their son, they're stating it into their own terminology that the parents were worried that the shooting suspect, the photos of the shooting suspect, look, we've seen photos of him walking around the area. I have not seen a photo yet. Maybe I'm wrong. Robert, have you seen a photo of him pulling the trigger?
No.
I haven't seen a photo of him being the shooting suspect yet. I've seen photos of him on campus. I've seen photos of him potentially walking.
Yeah.
Let's not get caught up in the way this is written and find him guilty based upon this. This isn't the way to find somebody guilty. His parents have not come out publicly and said, our son is the shooter. We were worried he was the shooter. This is poor. Well, no, it's great writing by the investigators to get into the court documents, but this is a poor narrative for the people out there trying to find truth and justice in this case. Don't fully believe this. His mom did not say her son, the shooter, was caught on camera. That's not what she said. She felt as though the pictures of her son, the wanted suspect of a crime, led her to be worried and want her son to turn himself in. There's no picture of him firing a shot. I just wanted to make that clear. That's just my feelings, my thoughts, and I would never put those words in his mother's mouth. And I think it's wrong that the investigators did.
Yeah, especially when she told expressed her concerns to his father that it looked like their son, and the father agreed.
Yeah, it's one thing if mom and dad step up to the plate in a trial and testify that they had some sort of feelings or thoughts that their son had committed this crime and had direct knowledge of why or how, okay, then I'll be open-minded and I'll listen to that. If it's not going to come directly from mom and dad's mouth to where we all can visually see and use our own hearing to hear it, then I don't need it to come from a written document through an investigation that's being utilized just in the charging document.
Yeah.
I think this is inappropriate. I think they should have been very carefully wording
Yes, I agree.
this to where let's not put words in the parents' mouth. They're already having a difficult time with all of this anyway. Their son is being charged with a very serious crime.
Yeah,
We don't need to put words in their mouth.
Capital murder.
Yeah.
Scott Metalhead says, I try to look at all these cases from different perspectives.
And that's the best way to do it, Scott. I 100% agree with you. I try to do the same. I try to be very open-minded. I know when people are caught red-handed during the commission of a crime, that it typically means they're guilty, but I still try to look for reasonings as to why. I try to understand the concepts of the case. I'm not one that's just going to roll out and say, man, that guy's just straight dirtbag, this, that. I don't know what was in this kid's head. I don't know what type of narcotics he might have taken prior to committal of a crime. There's a lot that goes into these types of things, and I want to be a little more understanding to learn more before I just outright deem that I know why he did it or how he did it. And I'm not even sure in my mind that Tyler did do it or he's the only one. I can't say he didn't.
Yeah.
But, I think in this case, just over this little bit that we were reading right now, we do have to be very careful putting words into the mother's mouth that she felt as though her son was caught as the shooter. I think we need to wait and listen to what the mom has to say.
Yeah. Like right here, it says Robinson mothers explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and more trans right oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who is transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. And I don't know if this is a narrative or that the parents laying out exactly why he did what he did. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, He agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that the police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy Charlie Kirk spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in, and he convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, a family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported, telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The family friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas.
All right, so let's pause right here real quick. This is the most damning information right here that could potentially be. So what they did is they took actual statements from the family. And they got what they had to say, what their interaction with their son is. Now, if this is true at the end, where Robinson actually admitted to disposing of the clothes in different areas, we're going to see some sort of plea bargain here. Let's be real with it at this point. Whether this young man's directly connected, whether he's the 100% person that committed this crime, or he's just basically involved, no matter what, he's got charges against him. He's not going to be able to beat them all. It sounds pretty damning to me, this second portion of it.
Yes, it does.
I wasn't impressed by the words, but it's obvious that the family made statements with enforcement. Who knows what, the full details of that is. It'll be very interesting to see if they release the audio or the video of that. I would definitely like to see it. It'll be years before they do.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting now to see, because this young man seems like in his discussion with officers, instead of keeping his mouth shut, he spoke and he told me disposed of clothing in different areas.
Well, he told the family friend, who's an ex-deputy sheriff. He told the family friend that he disposed of the clothes.
Yeah, which would be, he's able to testify to that in court. It's not considered hearsay because it was a direct statement to him, where hearsay would be that he made the statement to somebody else and that somebody else told it to him. That statement was made directly to him. So you have to wonder, at the end of the day, if that's true, what did Robinson have to say? I heard he was mute when it became time to do interviews, with law enforcement themselves. But, it doesn't look good there. He's not going to win the outright battle.
Yeah.
There's going to be a plea bargain. And what that plea bargain will come down to is, if you are not the actual sole shooter, you got to give us more information as to who's involved. And if you want to save your life, if you are the shooter, you have to give us more people that are involved in this large grouping of individuals involved. Bad position to be in.
Yeah. The police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those text messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson, which he said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. That the roommate took a photograph of the note. The following text exchange then took place. Yeah. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What?" with all question marks. You're joking, right? Robinson, I'm still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you. Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I'm sorry. Roommate, I thought they caught the person. Robinson said, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." The roommate says, "Why?" Robinson said, "Why did I do it?" Roommate says, "Yeah." Robinson said, "I've had enough of his hatred. Some hate can be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Then Robinson said, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring it back. If I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDK, I don't know if it had the serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry my prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed my clothes. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The effing messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices, if I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it, and that really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope. Robinson said, delete this exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. And that's the family friend. Robinson, you are all I worry about, love. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent.
This just all seems staged, man. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, but
I know.
I mean, if you're thinking about it, for a first time in life, you just committed a crime of this violent of nature. And then you just spill all the beans through text messaging, knowing digital data in today's world is
Yes.
the number one thing that is privacy lacking, and you're going to get caught no matter what. So you just give every single detail.
To your lover.
Yeah. I mean, even the way that he's messaging, like, it just, my dad is now complete MAGA, and come on, man, that's just like, that's so bogus.
Yeah.
It's so bogus.
But
I
but
don't
if
know.
those text messages are real, why? Pardon my French. Why the fuck would you admit to your lover that you did this, and to delete the text exchange, look for a note that's under your keyboard that says, "I've got a chance. I'm going to take it," knowing that once you're caught, the roommate's gonna freaking rat you out.
Yeah, I mean, I always believe in silence. Like, if I'm trying to protect somebody, I just don't talk to them about my actions work. And then I don't give them anything they could really say against me. Like, I know in most cases, people, when you get caught up, you talk a lot. So I know, like, if they put pressure on that roommate, they're most likely going to tell on me and give up every bit of information. Look what happened. They gave up every bit of information.
Yeah.
He gave up every bit of information. So I don't know.
Even
guess
showed
not
him
everybody thinks
the
like a
picture of the
criminal,
note
but-
that even showed him the picture of the note that Tyler left behind.
Do you legitimately think that he was only thinking about this for a week and he was able to garner enough feelings within them to jump on it and do this in 1 week's worth of time?
Personally, I mean, if he did do it, it would have taken a lot more planning than just a week. Oh, and Cheryl has been a member of yours for 20 months.
There's my beauty from Canada, the good old Cheryl. It's great to see you, Cheryl. Ronnie Sutton was in the chat looking for you earlier. He was devastated to not be able to see you. So just so that you know.
She goes, "Hello, I've been busy."
Oh, I know this. Let me tell you, Cheryl works hard. She works. Takes care of her beautiful husband and always reaches out to me as well. Always there for me on my side too. So it's always great to see you, Cheryl. You know, I send you big hugs and tons of love. So
I mean, if this was me, I wouldn't say shit to nobody. Yeah, I wouldn't be texting my lover saying, "Hey, I did this and this and this and this and that." Yeah, I would, like he was saying in the text message, he was going to keep it until he was in old age. Then why, in this digital age that we live in which has cameras everywhere, social media, digital entertainment, why would you go out and tell your lover / roommate that you did it, knowing that they would more than likely turn you in?
well, you're talking about holding it to the vest until death. Well, it didn't take you but 20 minutes to spill the beans. I mean, this is literally minutes after everything happened.
Yeah.
And he's already running his mouth via digital text messaging. I mean, that, man, I can you imagine this kid, like, if he's obviously in segregation in jail, but could you imagine him in the day room as everybody's sitting down to play dominoes or eat, and he's running his mouth, Robert, in jail about what am I looking at? What am I facing? What do you guys think I'm going to go to prison? It's like, oh my God, dude. He would be running his mouth the whole time in jail, asking 1,000 questions.
Yeah, and yeah, I would hate to be the old schooler that's looking at him, that's looking at him, going, "Why did you leave evidence behind? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Are you stupid?"
Dude, yeah, like literally. So obviously, I was always one of the guys sitting in the day rooms when I had to go to jail that had quite a bit of experience because I went to the penitentiary and served quite a bit of time at a young age. So as I got older, I was typically one of the people in the day room that had more experience than many of the others. So I fielded a lot of questions, and it was always really just like randomly stupid questions that were very easy to answer. Like if this kid had asked me, man, do you think I have any chance of winning this at trial if I take it? No, dude, you don't. None. Not only did you decide to leave a gun in a bush just outside of the crime scene that directly links back to your family, which means now you've directly impacted your family, bringing them in to where they got to testify against you. You left a handwritten note and you digitally texted your
Lover.
your lover that's no doubt going to testify against you to save their own butt. No doubt about it. And you think that you have any shot of winning this? Any shot?
And telling your lover slash roommate to delete our text exchange
Right.
through
So, I mean,
text.
at the end of the day, Robert, whether this kid actually is the sole perpetrator of this or not, I mean, I think there's a much bigger thing that's all behind this. I think there's more play in this game than just this Tyler Robinson kid. And
Yeah.
I think he did get the luck of the draw with the judge that he got,
Yeah.
but he screwed his own self, man. Like, he better plea bargain out. You and I both know it.
Yeah.
He better plea bargain out. He better just go straight to him and say, "Hey, look, I'll do life. Just give me the potential of parole after 30 years or 50 years or 40 years or whatever it might be. Let me parole out when I hit 60."
Yeah. Scott Miller has said that's why I think it was a cry for attention from the roommate. Probably overestimated the roommate's political views and loyalty.
Yeah, I agree with that, Scott. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
100%. I do. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, this Tyler Robinson young man is boxed in a corner now. And there's really legitimately two routes he could go here, Robert. We'll see if you kind of agree with me or not. One is he just has to plead for his own life and try to get parole somehow attached without the death penalty. If he can get the death penalty off the table, take a plea bargain, get paroled by the age of 60, that could be a win for him. Or two, he's got to roll on whoever could have funded or been a part of this outside of just himself. That could be a bigger entity and a bigger win for the investigation and for the political sides to get the person up and above him. Because I don't think he's anything special. He's a pawn in all of this, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's a pawn in all of this.
Do you think he could go for temporary insanity?
No. What would he's either mentally insane, he's either actually it wouldn't even be temporary insanity. It's just he's mentally he's got mental illness across the board, for one, or two, this was just planned, and there's more to the story. Maybe some leadership that helped guide him into this, but even if that's the case, that's not a mental defense. I don't think he's going to have much of a.
Yeah. Cheryl says, "Sorry, I missed a lot, but those texts from him to his friend right after the fact is questionable. At least, who does that?"
Yeah, and that's what I'm confused by too, because if you're tracking, let's say, Robert, he did leave that rifle in what he calls his dump spot, which sounds like he's considering that his evidence retrieval spot.
Yeah.
If that was the case, why would he be paying two cents worth of attention to text messaging his so-called lover instead of trying to find a way to get that damn rifle back?
Very, very true. And it seemed like he kind of complained that the scope was $2,000 and he lost $2,000.
Right.
Because that was a $2,000 scope and it worked.
And I'm telling you, if I knew I was on the run, let's say I had just shot Charlie Kirk and I had been able to get off of that roof, I'd been able to make it back to my car. I got to be on the run now. So I got to be in flight mode at this point. And Robert, I don't know if you've been in flight mode, but it's
Yes, I have.
it's an on the move. You don't got anything on your mind but getting the hell out. Like you
Yep.
got to get going. You don't have time to sit there and text message back and forth like that with your so-called lover, like apologizing to them, talking about how you committed the crime. No, I don't have time to talk to you about the scope on the gun. I gotta go get the damn gun. Like, dude, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get my evidence. I gotta go.
Cheryl
Right?
says must have been talk to text.
That's something. That's funny, actually. But I mean, you see a cop, he clearly states there's a lone car hanging back. So I mean, he's visually paying attention to what's going around the crime scene, but he still has a no, dude, no. That's not how it works, dude.
No.
When you got to get going, you got to get going. You're
Yeah.
scared shitless. Every move that cop makes you poop a little more in your pants. Like
Yeah.
you're just waiting to get caught. So you tell me this guy's just sitting there in his car facing that cop car and they're just looking at each other and Tyler Robinson saying, "You're not going to catch me." And the cop's like, "I'm going to catch you." And Tyler's ducking behind his, steering wheel saying, "It's not me." And come on, dude. This is
Yeah.
like, I'm not this childish. I know that's just not. And while he's texting his lover, telling them not to tell the cops, and what?
Get a lawyer and stay silent.
Yeah, come on, dude. I mean, you wouldn't even have had to say that to your roommate if you hadn't gave up the information to your roommate. Like, if your roommate didn't know that you had planned this crime in advance of you actually committing this crime, why would you tell him? And then tell him to not say anything? Why not just don't tell him?
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to keep this till my old age, but I got to tell you.
I didn't want to put you in harm's way or put you at risk, but I'm going to put you in harm's way and at risk. Let me tell you the story. Get the hell out of here. Really? This is what they want me to believe?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, God, man, and I've said this a lot lately, that is one dumb freaking criminal, man.
Yeah.
Just one dumb criminal.
Yeah. Cheryl said it's just weird.
Yeah, across the board. When do you think, at what point do you think Erica Kirk would have stood before her husband and said, "I believe you've gotten to the point in your speaking, career and your attraction to debaters. Honey, I think that you should get a protective glass, encasement in front of you in case someone decided to try and take your life." When do you think Erica would have came to the conclusion that would have been necessary?
That's a good question. I do not know.
Because, I mean, the guy, he's worth millions of dollars. He's 31 years old. He's taking a
Huge risk.
platform. How many followers did he have, Robert? Millions?
No, 250,000.
But I thought he was getting millions of views or something like that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, over on his, because he streamed directly on Rumble, and there's like a yes, he got millions of views, but he also had like 250,000 followers on Rumble.
Yeah, and that's Rumble. That's nothing. He had more than that in other places. I
Yes.
guarantee that. I mean, he built a big community just in the Arizona community with his company. He was growing.
Yeah.
I mean, he traveled. He did these debates, and I hadn't followed him for a long time. I actually, I'll admit it. I didn't actually follow Charlie Kirk. I didn't ever venture to watch much else than his shorts. That's about what I watched, was just his shorts. So I mean, I wasn't real familiar because I don't really get into the political aspect of things. I know you do a little bit. You dive into politics a little bit, and I'm a little bit standoffish when it comes to politics because I know that when I have something to say, I typically go in a direction that many will disagree with. Like, oh, my opinion is not always highly accepted. So I don't get real political. I don't speak politically.
Yeah.
But I was getting more engaged in some of the talks they had. And one thing that I found very interesting was Jeffree Star's backing of him.
Yeah.
And I highly respect Jeffree Star in the basis that he can still be who he is, but he also acknowledges what happened to Charlie Kirk is absolutely wrong and devastating. And he's one that will share his opinions and his thoughts, whether it costs him views and likes and everything too. And so I respected that, and I've watched some of his stuff lately. But, this could have been a really politically devastating time.
Yeah.
Because this could have led to a very wild division. There's already a division, but I mean a violent division. And it seems like so far it stayed somewhat respectful.
Yeah.
Of it's okay that we have some division. We just don't have the violence as of yet. Could it come? Sure. I think it could. I think our country's been on the
tipping point. Yeah, tipping point.
Yeah, to a civil war type situation. I've said that with my wife a couple of times. That a civil war could potentially make a difference. Like it could maybe actually, I don't know. I mean, I just hate to say that, because I know a lot of people have the non-violent nature of things. And my wife's like, you just always want to get violent. No, not always it. But, I think that you have to stand your ground. And,
let's get into the press release before we end the live. It's going at 2 hours and 30 minutes.
All right, let's quickly hit that. Then we'll say hello to our crowd and answer some questions, and we'll get up out of here.
Okay. September 13th, 2025, arrest of Tyler James Robinson, potential charges. Press conference, noon Mountain Time, Tuesday, September 16th. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray provides the following statement on the arrest of Tyler James Robinson and potential charges to be filed. Arrest: Tyler James Robinson of Washington, Utah, was arrested and booked in the Utah County Jail early Friday morning on suspicion of committing 3 crimes related to the murder of Charlie Kirk on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Those crimes are aggravated murder in violation of Utah Code 76-5-202, obstruction of justice in violation of Utah Code, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, in violation of Utah Code 76-11-210. Under Utah law, aggravated murder carries a penalty of either death, life in prison without the possibility of parole, or 25 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Obstruction of justice carries a penalty of 1 to 15 years in prison. Felony discharge of firearm causing serious bodily injury carries a penalty of 5 years to life in prison. September 13th, Mr. Robinson is being held without bail. Potential charges. Now that a suspect has been arrested, my office will carefully review all the evidence that law enforcement has gathered and decide on the appropriate charges to file. Those charges will be listed in a document called a criminal information. Filing the document will begin the formal criminal case against Mr. Robinson. We anticipate filing the criminal information by noon on Tuesday, September 16th. Although we will make every effort to meet that schedule, we may need additional time to prepare the charges. By court rule, we may extend the time to file charges by up to 3 days or until Friday, September 19th. Our ability to file charges depends on how quickly we can gather and carefully review mountains of evidence. We will be thorough and deliberate at every stage of this case. So they're saying they have mountains of evidence.
Yeah, I know just at this recent hearing that we're talking about, they have a lot of discovery, and the prosecution, the defense are working their way through it to try to get on the same page. So we'll see. From what I understand, there is a lot of evidence here.
Given the very early stages of this investigation and the fact that the investigation is ongoing, we cannot comment on the specific charges that we will file. However, we do anticipate that those charges will likely be consistent with the preliminary charges that supported Mr. Robinson's booking into jail. It is important to note that at this stage, the charges on which Mr. Robinson was booked and the formal charges we plan to file on Tuesday are only allegations under both the federal Constitution and the Utah Constitution. Mr. Robinson is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
You know, isn't it crazy to see the difference? I mean, I hate to keep reflecting back, but just the way that this case is being conducted and spoken upon compared to what we saw in the Idaho court.
Oh, yes, totally.
I mean, when did Brian Koberger at any point in time when he was in the courtroom or the judge speaking or anything of that nature, when did you ever hear innocent until proven guilty?
Never.
And I mean, I have to give some credit to the judge, the prosecution, and the entire court process that's happening right now in Utah, because they're actually allowing this man the respect of, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. And if these people can't prove you're guilty, well, then you're going to be deemed innocent.
Yes.
We're not going to just deem you as guilty right off the bat. I think that's important. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I mean, it just seems like, you know, going back to the Brian Koberger case just for a minute, it seems like the day he landed in jail, he was automatically guilty. But the day Tyler Robinson lands in jail, he's innocent until proven guilty.
I agree. Now, I don't know what your plans are for tomorrow, but I was planning on maybe doing an Idaho 4 live. If you would like to jump in with me on that, and we can we'll revisit back. We'll talk about the interviews that obviously there's a lot of. I've been waiting a long time to see some of these interviews with Bethany and Dylan and Jack Showalter. Like the Jack D, that didn't really matter to me. Some of those didn't matter. But I think some of them were very critical and very important. And I was going to go over those tomorrow. If you would like to join me, we can do that.
Yeah, most definitely. What time tomorrow?
you know what, we can either do the same time, around the same time, or we can do it a little bit later if that better suits your schedule.
Uh,
You know,
we can do it
we'll
6 o'clock my time.
Yeah, we can do that. And then if we need to take 2 days, we can work on it on Saturday as well. And
Okay.
we'll spend a couple of days going over that because there's a lot of value in that. And we can tackle a little bit of that. We invested years into that case. So, I mean, I'm not abandoning it altogether.
No.
And I do know there's some important things to talk about, and we'll get into that. But man, it's been a lot of fun today, Robert. I appreciate you for inviting me. You know, it always means a lot when you reach out. You want to spend some quality time doing some lives. It's been a while since we've been able to do it, so it's great to be able to do that with you.
How does it feel not talking about Idaho 4 for once?
It's a fresh breath of air, to be honest with you. It's, to be honest with you, you get a little bit of a relaxed feeling when you get away from the stress of that case. I never knew a case. Look, it's stressful when you're the actual criminal going to court, but damn, that case got stressful just even trying to cover it.
Yeah.
Because of the division within the, you know, the thoughts and the opinions and the things of that nature. If you had a different view than what some had, you got attacked. And
Yeah.
so it's nice to take a step back. I'll be honest, it's nice to take a step back, Robert. And I know both you and I have pledged to be true crime content creators. We talk about all the crime that we can possibly talk about.
Yes.
And bring attention to the system and things of that nature. But it'll be nice to jump back in for a couple of days, revisit some of these key things that are going on, give our opinions and our thoughts on them.
Oh yes. It's going to be very interesting what happens at this next court date for Tyler Robinson, which is
October 30th. Yeah.
Yes.
In my opinion, and I know they're going through the discoverable evidence. You know, that's what the discussion is. The waiver to push that preliminary hearing back is, that's not unusual. He's obviously waiving his right to a speedy trial.
Yeah.
Look, he's not going for a speedy trial here. That's going to get waived. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the very near future, Robert, we hear of a grand jury indictment.
Yeah. And just, I watched that, the second hearing, but it was yesterday, the day before. And, I could have swore Judge Graff was mentioning something about maybe a possible non-dissemination order.
Yeah. I mean, he had to put that into place, but where he has to be careful is he's talked about witnesses and stuff. And a lot of those aren't even fully designated yet. They haven't all been interviewed and found. And so he's really laying the framework to ensure that moving forward, that everybody knows we got this order in place. So you best be careful. Once you've been named as a potential witness and a potential person has to testify, be very careful. And we're going to see, man, it's going to be really interesting to watch how this one unfolds. Kind of like how we watched the Delphi case, and then we watched the Idaho 4 case and the Karen Reed case. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this high-profile case that actually has a very political tone to it, how this one plays out.
Yeah. And I believe it was his defense attorney. She said that she may talk about maybe a bail hearing or something like that, because right now he's being held without bail.
Yeah, he'll never get bail.
No.
I mean, she can present it, but he's never going to get bail unless, the way he gets bail is if it gets deemed that there's other people involved and he's willing to give up some info on how he's not the main player in this. That could earn him some bail, but
Yeah, very true.
I don't know, man. We just read that document where mom and dad, they gave statements, dude. They gave full out statements, and the lover, I don't even know. Look, I don't want to be disrespectful, Robert, but I don't even know what to call that lover. Is it his boyfriend? Is it his girlfriend? is that, hey, can I call him a dude? Do it? I don't know. Like I'm trying to be respectful, and this is new to me. So if anybody out there has the proper terminology I'm supposed to use, I don't like calling him a lover. Like I don't like doing that.
Yeah, that's why if you notice that they put lover / roommate. But I mean,
I mean, I guess I don't mind calling him a roommate, but if he's more than that, I mean, and am I not supposed to? There you go. His partner, Cheryl. You
partner.
are the brains
Thank you,
of the
Cheryl.
organization. Cheryl, you are the brains of the organization. I knew she was a leader right from the minute her and I started high fiving.
Yeah, Scott said
is-
partner too.
All right. Well, then that's where we'll venture going down the road. I will say partner from now on. It's just hard for me because Robert, I always say, oh, my beautiful wife, my beautiful companion. I guess companion works too, right? Companion.
Yeah, companion works.
Significant other. Is significant other mean that you're married?
Yes. No,
Okay, so
actually, no.
significant-
Actually, no. Significant other can mean you're married, or if you're dating.
Okay,
So
so
it can mean either.
okay. Well, there we go then. Now I know what I can call them. Okay. I just try to be respectful. I just try to be respectful. I don't want to. I don't like the idea that I call it the swamp thing or the they or the it. I'm not that rude. Only
Hey.
on Tuesdays. Tomorrow will be Friday, so I'll be a little nicer tomorrow.
Hey, careful mentioning swamp. She may appear.
Yeah, I haven't seen Swamp Rose in a little while. I used to talk to her a little bit, but she's been off doing her thing. So anybody that says sees Swamp or hears from her, say hi for me.
Cheryl says I have a niece who just got married. Partner is easy.
That's the way to do it. So Robert and I will plan on getting back together tomorrow. We'll dive back into the old Idaho 4 case and go over some of those interviews, give some of our current thoughts and how we're feeling. And I definitely appreciate everybody in the crowd that joined us today. The community is still awesome.
Cheryl
Robert,
said,
I'll let you say our goodbyes and we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, Cheryl says she married another girl.
Well,
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Scott Metalhead, Cheryl, Kissy ×3, Warning Labels Nina, and everybody else who became members on the channel. And tune in tomorrow night, 6 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. his time, and we're going to be diving back into the Idaho 4 case. Let's not try to tear our hair out.
We'll do our best, right?
All right, everyone have a good night. This is True Crime Unleashed and the Convict Thoughts with A.R. Hayes. We are out. Peace.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being here.